Okay. I hope you guys can hear me now. I had to leave the stream and come back. Hopefully this works. If this does not work, then we'll probably have to go to Zoom or Google Meet. So please let me know if you can hear me now as well as see my screen, and then we can proceed. Okay, perfect. So turns out it's probably just my network. All right, so good afternoon, everybody. The internet is so bad, it's been raining here. So that's probably why my internet is really, really, really slow today. So I decided to turn off my camera and hopefully that will be better, right? So this is your very first live virtual assistance class. And one thing that you need to know as we're starting is you're not just learning how to assist people, right? You're learning how to run operations remotely. It's like someone said when I was training, the last people I was training for virtual assistants, when she was giving her final report, she said, virtual assistants are not side chicks. We are the system. And it was very funny, but it's very true because without a proper virtual assistant for certain businesses, in fact, for most businesses, the business is going to, it business cannot stay organized, right? But if you have a good virtual assistant, the business is organized, the clients are happy, and deadlines are met. So, what we're going to be discussing today is what a virtual assistant truly is, the different types and specializations, as well as core tasks and tools that you have to master to be a virtual assistant. I'm also going to give you assignments to help you build your portfolio and also a project because, like I already said, these our live classes are going to have assignments and projects. They are very important to test your knowledge to be sure that everything we're learning you're actually understanding. Okay, so one thing you're going to notice is I'm not going to be using slides, and that is to encourage you to take notes. So if you don't have your notes already, please get your notes out so you can take notes. If I'm talking too fast, let me know in the comments. If you don't understand something I said, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, just drop your questions in the comments. Okay, now let's jump right into what we have to talk about today. Who is a virtual assistant? Now, a virtual assistant is a self-employed or employed professional who offers administrative, technical, and creative assistance to clients and companies online. I'll say that again. A virtual assistant is an employed remote professional who offers administrative, technical, or creative assistance to clients or companies online. So it's just like being an assistant, but just that in this point you're virtual, you work from home, you work remotely. Okay. So there are 4 core qualities of a good virtual or a successful virtual assistant. Number one core quality is organization and detail oriented. So you have to be organized. As a virtual assistant, your employer cannot tell you, okay, I have this, and this to do. And then they have to now come back and remind you about those tasks. You failed as a virtual assistant, okay? So you have to be organized. The things they don't remember, the things they don't recall, the things they cannot do or they're not disposed to do at the moment, it's your responsibility to take that responsibility off them, as well as detail oriented. So detail oriented is basically whatever it is you're doing, you have to do it well. Okay, so if you're asked to create a document, send an email, make a call, you have to be intentional about being perfect, intentional about being really good. Okay, number two is you have to be proactive and solution driven. Now, the word proactive, like we all know, it means you don't have to be asked to do something. So if your employer was supposed to do something or they did something last week, and you know that they are supposed to do it again this week, if they don't remember, you have to be proactive. Either you're reminding them or you even go ahead and complete that task. That is your responsibility as a virtual assistant. You also have to be very proactive and solution driven. Now, like the name implies, when you're solution driven, you're always making sure that your targets are met, not just your targets, as well as the targets of your employer. Both targets are met, as and everybody is happy at the end of the day, because at the agency or a business that the targets are not met is not a happy one, right? Number three, you have to be tech savvy. Now, tech savvy doesn't mean you have to know how to write codes or how to write HTML and CSV. No. Typically, it's you know how to use a computer. You can set up calls. You can book hotels. You can book flights. You can send emails. You know how to use the system really fast. You know how to type fast. You know how to respond to clients' DMs fast. That's the whole idea. You have to be tech savvy. So somebody that does not know how to edit documents or create sheets does not qualify to be a virtual assistant. As we go forward, I'm going to show you guys some tools and some skills that are a must for you to have to be a good virtual assistant. Finally, the final core quality of a good VA is professional in communication and deadlines. So, it's tricky being a VA because it's like you're working on two people's schedules. You're working on your schedule, the tasks and the things that you have to do, and you also have to follow up with your employer or your boss to also remind them of their own tasks that you might have forgotten. So you're going to be in constant communication both with the company that's employing you and their own clients. So you need to learn how to be professional in communication. And then finally, when it comes to deadlines, you need to know how to meet deadlines. And that's why it's important to take down notes. Everything you have to do, you have to state it down. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. So that when the deadline reaches, you're able to hit it before then. And when you don't write down things, you tend to forget. And that's why most times the virtual assistant, the employer will tell the virtual assistant something and then they completely forget about it. And then the employer forgets. And then when they finally remember, it's already too late. That is not ideal at all. So it's very important that you take deadlines very seriously. Okay. Now let's move on to the next slide, which is the types of virtual assistants. Types of virtual assistants. Now, there are different types of virtual assistants, and I'm going to give you the explanations of each of them, and then maybe you can now decide which one you would like to take, right? Number one, we have the generalist VA. Now, as the word implies, generalist has to do with admin support, okay? So you offer basic admin support like inbox management, email management, calendars, file storage, reaching out to staff, those small admin tasks, making a call to a client, booking a hotel, booking a flight. These are tasks that you might need to do as a generalist virtual assistant. Number two, we have specialists. Now, the opposite of generalist is specialist. And as the name implies, it is when you focus on one particular core skill. So you can either be a social media virtual assistant, a videography virtual assistant, a data entry virtual assistant, a graphics design virtual assistant. So as a specialist, you pick one skill and you decide to thrive and grow in it. Unlike generalists that if they can do both admin and they can do customer support and they can do calls and even design and social media and so forth and so on, right? And then finally, we have number three, the niche VA. That's NICHE, the niche VA. So niche is just when they work in specific industries like real estate. A real estate virtual assistant might not be able to necessarily work in the same capacity as a medical virtual assistant, right? So when you work in certain niches or certain businesses, it's called a niche VA. And so anytime you're trying to get a virtual assistant job, you only get virtual assistant jobs in that particular niche. So if you're an e-commerce VA, you don't take any other jobs aside e-commerce, right? If you're a coaching VA, you don't take any other jobs aside that. So that's it, the generalist VA, specialist, and the niche VA. So let me give you a typical example. A coach may need you as a generalist VA to schedule Zoom calls and manage their DMs, right? An e-commerce brand may need you as a niche VA to update their Shopify products or their Temu products or their Jumia products or whatnot. A content creator might need a VA to help them edit reels, schedule posts, edit videos, respond to comments. That's a social media VA. So you see how it can differ from one point to another. Now, moving on to the thing I talked about earlier, the core tasks that you have to have, that you must have as a virtual assistant. In fact, if you don't have this, I think 7 tasks or 7 skills, you cannot really do very well as a virtual assistant. Number 1 is managing emails, email management. Now, email management has to do with the filtering, replying, and organizing of emails by labels. Sharon is going to take you guys on a class on that because I'm not really deep into VA. I know she knows how to do all the labeling and all and the filtering on Gmail. Maybe she's going to have a class next week or upper week on how to organize email or how to manage your emails accurately. Second skill or task that you must master is scheduling meetings. So you can schedule meetings on Gmail, that's on Google Meet. You can schedule meetings on Zoom. You can schedule meetings on so many platforms that you can use for meetings, even Microsoft as well. So you need to also know how to set appointments and also send out reminders. You don't just send a meeting to it. Let's say you have to talk to a client or your boss needs to talk to a client in an hour and they ask you to create a meeting. When you create a meeting and send it to them, 5 minutes before the meeting, you're also supposed to remind them, like, hello, ma, you have a meeting in 5 minutes. Please join this link. You send the link to them again. That's your responsibility. Number 3, file organization. You have to keep files well. When in those days when we're still working, going to the office and using paper files, you see that you have to have a cabinet. Your files have to be in proper alphabetical order so that when you want to access them, it's easy for you to access them. But this is 2025. You have a lot of platforms and tools that you can use to organize files, like Google Drive, right? You can use Google Drive to create folders and name conventions and all that. So it's very good that you need to know how to master the task or the skill of file organization. Number 4 is communication. Communication is important too because you're going to be talking to a lot of people as a virtual assistant, right? So on WhatsApp, on Slack, on emails, on calls, you'll be talking to people, both customers and family members sometimes, because you also know that it's a responsibility as a VA. Let's say I want to go on a trip, right? It's a responsibility to draw up an itinerary, book my hotels, book my flights. If I'm going with my family members, you set up their own hotels and their own flights and all that. That's your responsibility as a virtual assistant, unless they just want you to do it. When you do admin tasks, it's part of admin responsibilities, right? So that's communication. Next thing is document creation. You need to know how to create documents immediately. So you're asked to create and in different formats as well, right? So I cannot ask you to send me a PDF and you're sending me a document, a doc, or a Word doc. Or ask you to send me a Word doc and you're sending me something like a sheet, or you're sending me slides. Everything is different. So you need to know how to create different kinds of documents, from sheets to slides to PDFs to JPEGs. You need to know all these things. You also need to know how to convert the what's it called? Convert if it's PDF, if it's JPEG, if it's slides, if it's sheets, you need to be able to convert one to the other, right? So let me give you an example of what I mean. If I send you some names, and then I tell you to change to put those names in a sheet, you know how to do that. Same time, if I say to put those names in a document, you should also know how to do that. Same thing, if I say put those names in a slide, put those names in a PDF, you should know how to do all that. And if you're now asked to change I'm still trying to figure out that word. I can't remember the word. I'll remember it eventually. But it's basically changing a particular document from one version to another. So, like changing a document from PDF to Word, or from Word to PDF, or from PDF to slides, or from slides to presentations, and so on and on and on. We're going to have classes along the line to show you how to do all this in real time, as well as the projects that you'll be doing, right? So that's for document creation. Next thing is spreadsheets. I will talk about spreadsheets. Spreadsheets are really important for keeping information, tracking expenses, tracking salaries, adding leads. You also need sheets to have information of your staff and your customers and all that. So you need to know how to create sheets and also keep these information. And then finally, research. Research is also really important. You need to know how to use Google to search for things, not to use LinkedIn to find, not to find podcasts, not to find anything. Because as a VA, you're the go-to man or the go-to woman. Okay, so if Christiana is my VA, I can just ask her, Christiana, I'm trying to get this done. Do you know how to do it? Even if you don't know how to do it, you say yes, you can do it. Go and do a quick research and you do it. Unless it's something like really complicated, then you say, okay, I can't do it. And I'll teach you that down the line that you don't use you don't use negative words or negative sentences as a virtual assistant. You never say, I cannot do it. It's better to say, I'll get back to you. And then you go, you study, you ask questions, you get it done. Saying, I don't know how to do it is a big red flag. Okay? Now, let's go to your first assignment before we move on to tools you need to master. Okay? So I'm going to send the assignment to the group, and you're going to create a document on your Google Workspace. You will name each document by week. So this week will be week 1 assignment. So all the assignments I'm going to give you in this class should be done in that document, and you share the document link. You don't have to share the document, just share the link and I'll access it live. Okay? All right. So I'm going to send the exercise on the group now, and it's going to be a very practical one as well. So 1 second, copy. All right. All right, so if you look at the group, if you check out the group, you will see that I have some exercises and projects I just dropped there. Number 1, let's pretend you just got hired by a digital coach named Tina. She's overwhelmed and needs help. So she tells you, can you help me clean up my calendar and files? I also need a follow-up email to send to people who missed our webinar. So these are your tasks for Tina. Number 1, you're going to create a new Google Calendar called Coach Tina's Weekly Plan. Number 2, you're going to add 3 events: team meeting, live coaching call, content planning. You add 3 events to the calendar that you're going to create for her. And then you're going to open your Google Documents and you're going to create an email that you're going to send to her people that missed the webinar. The email should be friendly, it should be helpful, and it should have the link of the webinar. You can just put a fake link, it doesn't have to be a real webinar. But if you want to go the extra mile, you can actually create a Google Meet and add the link. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Then you create a Google Drive folder that's going to be called Tina's businesses file or business files, and you're going to create different folders. You create one for client documents, receipts, content, Zoom recordings, and all that. So just go through it. And if you, yeah, sorry, even my own network here is really, really bad. Don't worry, I will send the replay of this class for people that cannot join live. But the assignments are really important and I need them done before our accountability call by 12 on Friday, right? Okay, then back to our notes or our slides. Client communication basics. Client communication basics. Now, client communication is how you talk to your clients, both the person you're working directly for and the people that work or people that patronize them. All right. So the key points that you need to know as a virtual assistant when you're having conversations with clients. Number one, always confirm. Always confirm. It's important for you to always make sure and double check your instructions and tasks. Okay. So if I say, oh, Chigozie, I need you to send out calls or emails by 4 p.m. today, you have to confirm, like, okay, are you sure that I should send them out by 4? And then maybe around 3:30 or 3:45, you message me again and say, I want to send out those emails by 4. And then when you send the emails out, you also have to say, I have sent out the email. Your job is constantly updating your employer so that it's not like you're doing your own thing and they are doing a different thing and then you guys are lost in the lumbo, right? So you always have to be on the same page. Number two, in conversations, you have to be polite. Even if the client is vague, even if the client is rude, you have to be polite. In fact, it's not just virtual assistants. Everybody that deals with customers every day needs to learn that as much as it's not very fair, the customer is always right. Okay? Because if all your customers leave, you're not going to have any money. You're not going to have a job either. So you need to be polite, even if the client is vague, even if they are rude. You verify their questions, you ask them again to be sure that that is what they meant. Because trust me, it is better that they are frustrated that you are asking them to repeat themselves than you go and do another one and that is different from what they asked to do. That's like a double trouble. So it's always good to confirm and be polite. Like I mentioned before, you're not allowed at any point to say the words "I don't know" or "I cannot do it." Right? You don't have the luxury to say that. Even if it's something you don't know how to do. Let's say you don't know how to do designs, and they tell you to do a flyer. You say, instead of you to say, I don't know how to do it, you say, I'm going to need some time. I'll need more time than usual, or I'll get back to you, or let me see how I can do it. And then if you now go back and see you cannot do it at all, you come back and have a proper conversation and say, I can refer somebody, or I can outsource it to somebody. Or sometimes you can just outsource it and not let your employer know, right? So if you feel like you have a friend that can do better designs, you ask him to do the designs because at the end of the day, you're trying to sell your professionalism. So you should not let anything dent that image that you're trying to portray to your clients. Okay. So instead of you to say, I don't know, it's better to say, let me check on that and get back to you, or let me try and work on that and get back to you. That is a proper response when people ask you to do things that you're not particularly conversant with. All right. So like I said, when you do something, you remind them before you do it and once you've done it. So once you've done something, you say something like, hi, sir, or hi, ma'am, just letting you know I've updated the content calendar, or I've made the calls, or I've created the sheet, and I've shared it to you in your folder. Let me know if you'd like me to prioritize or do anything else today. Your job is to try to make the life of the person you're working with or the people you're working with easier. Okay? So, yeah, so I think that's about it. I'm going to go deep into these assignments I gave you on the group so that you don't have any issues with them along the line. I already explained the Tina part, and now let's go to the assignment 1C, which is you building your VA starter kit, right? Now, number one is calendar and file storage. You're going to create a sample Google calendar with at least 5 work-related entries. if you feel like you need further assistance, you can always reach out to me or reach out to Sharon, because she's my VA. So she has more experience in certain things than I do, to be honest, because there's a difference between theory and actually doing it in practical. So create a sample Google Calendar, 5 work-related entries, create a mock Google Drive for a client. You can just create a fake client, or you can use a company or a business that's already existing. So just go through it. Anything you don't understand, you let me know, okay? And then just like I gave to the customer support person, your main project is to reach out to a business, okay? It can be a small business, can be a content creator, a digital creator, whatnot. Just reach out to anybody at all and tell them that you're trying to start, or you're trying to become a virtual assistant, and you want to help them with their tasks for a week. Okay, so when you draft the proposal, you send the proposal to us so that we can vet it and tell you, okay, this is nice. Then you send it to the prospective people that you want to send it to. You can even send it to us too. I don't think anybody is going to reject free work. But what you're doing basically is you need to make sure it's a business that actually has structure, so that whatever task you're doing, you're taking down notes, and um, you're actually learning on the job. So they have clients for you to talk to, they have actual tasks for you to do. It's not that you go and meet somebody that does not have any tasks for you to do, and then you come after 1 week and tell me that you've done your project. You have to reach out to an actual business. You have to send them an official proposal with an email telling them that I'm a virtual assistant and I want to work for you for free for a week virtually. And I'm sure they will give you a list of tasks for you to do, and you just write your reports. So I'll send a report template by probably tomorrow, and it's basically going to be, okay, this is the company I worked for, these are the tasks that they asked me to do, and these are the tasks that I was able to complete. Okay, so if you need more information on the particular project, I will give it to you. I will draft it and send to the group. So I think that's about it for our class today. Does anybody have any questions before I move on? Being a virtual assistant, you're not just a fallback, it's a career. It's something that you have to do, because in 2025, the fact that a lot of companies and agencies and businesses are trying to go 100% remote, you are an engine room for modern businesses. Okay, so the better you are at removing stress from somebody's day, the more valuable you will become. So you have to try to keep learning, stay professional, and always ask yourself. In fact, it should be the first question you ask yourself: how can I make my client's life easier today? That should be the first thing you ask yourself. How can I make my client's life easier today? So that brings us to the end of this class. If there's any questions or anything that you don't understand, just let me know on the group. I'll be more than happy to answer. If you need clarity on the assignments and the projects, let me know as well. But please remember to make sure all your assignments weekly are in one document, so it's easy for us to access, right? So keep learning, stay professional, and don't forget that your job as an assistant, a virtual assistant, is to make the life of your clients easier. So if you're not making their life easier, you're making them miss deadlines, you're making them miss meetings, you're forgetting your tasks, you're doing more harm than good. Okay, so that's why I'm happy they were actually taking this training very seriously, because along the line you will not just be taught the communication part, you also be taught the real life part. And that's why I said you should reach out to actual businesses and have hands-on actual training. If you need, I will send the project details anyway, so to the group, hopefully tomorrow. So in the absence of anything else, I am just going to end this stream. Excuse me, I think I'm getting a message. Yeah, so I'm going to end the stream now. And like I said, if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to send us a message. Thank you for joining our class today. Enjoy the rest of your week. And I will see you guys on Friday for our accountability calls. And as you know, you're going to have in your live classes every week. once a week. Today is Tuesday. Yes, I think it's every Tuesday or every Monday that you guys should have your own classes. I'm not very sure with the timetable at the moment, but let's try. Let's try to do our courses, just to do our assignments, our projects. This is the only way we can actually make progress. All right. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for joining. If you need this class, if you need this meeting, what's it called? This meeting recording, just send a message to Sharon and she'll make it available to you. All right. Thank you. Bye.